it meant anything goes. Anyone could die, anyone could fall in love, anyone could die, anyone could fall in love, anyone could die, anyone could die.
Asian apocalypse.
Concept was so cool.
Asian apocalypse.
Concept was so cool.
People couldn't believe it. They had to believe it. People couldn't believe it. They had to believe it.
Everything that you had come to know and love. Out the window. Everything that you had come to know and love. Out the window. Everything that you had come to know and love. Out the window.
I'm Jeremy Greer.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, the podcast where Gary and I are still talking about the apocalypse. How long does the apocalypse go on, Gary?
It eventually, don't worry, Onslaught is coming.
Oh, geez. Oh, geez.
Yeah. I think that's the next major crossover. The Phalanx Covenant might have. No, Phalanx Covenant was before this. I think Onslaught.
Phalanx Covenant was before this? Really?
Yeah. Yeah, because that's where Blink was introduced.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
I think Phalanx Covenant is 94.
Yeah.
This is 95. So, and then Maximum Security, and then a whole bunch, then Search for Cyclops.
Yeah. I've never read any of the Search for Cyclops stuff. I feel like it's better referred to than it is actually read. So, yeah,
I've read the 12, which is what causes the Search for Cyclops. And it's extremely bad and dumb.
Oh, excellent. Good.
It's a really bad crossover. I think this is like the last good X-Men crossover of the 90s. Like, I have some affection. Like, I remember reading the stuff that's around Onslaught, which is when they introduced like Celia Reyes and Maggot and Joseph and stuff. And I remember, Marrow joins the team. I remember like having some mild affection for that, but it was when I was in the pocket of Joe Madureira for the art. And it was mostly I was just reading it for that art.
Yeah.
Than anything. So, goodbye 90s X-Men. Can we talk about the cover of Astonishing X-Men #3 and how far apart Rogue's boobs are?
They are two different directions.
Yep, they are pointing in two different directions. It's like a Mexican standoff. It's like the end of Reservoir Dogs, with boobs firing a gun.
It's weird. The older I get, and the more of these comic books I consume, it is stranger and stranger that comic book artists just for a long time didn't bother. Like, it just felt like, I don't know if this was like directed from on high, if Stan Lee just wanted women to look like this, but it's just like they didn't even bother to look at anything. Like, nope, we gotta make it as fucking weird as possible and I guess hot at the same time. We think this is hot and we're gonna put it in there. This definitely feels like that. Although, like, I kind of dig the action pose. Like, she's Rogue is like busting some stuff up. That's cool. But yeah, like the weird oversized boobs pointed in two totally different directions is very strange to me.
Yeah, it's also a very thin Rogue.
Yeah, well,
which is really weird. Like, incredibly like narrow waist and stuff. Speaking of which, did you see that Gambit fan movie?
I saw that it was out. I did not watch it.
I watched it.
Okay. Do we need to do an episode on it? Do you want to save this?
No. I think it would actually be kind of fun. Like, it's a little bit bad. It's like a fan work.
Sure.
Like fan works are like that. But it's surprisingly, like, I found a mild amount of enjoyment in it, if I'm being super honest. It was just like, oh, like, this is, kind of fun action, and it's impressive that just some dudes made this. So it might be a fun episode for like another live thing or something like that.
How does it compare to the like fan-made Uncharted movie that was a few years ago?
I've never seen that, unfortunately.
What about the
fortunately?
What about the fan-made? I think it was a Mortal Kombat and Batman crossover, or was it Alien and Batman or something?
Certainly haven't seen that. I think the only fan movie I've seen is the Fallout fan movies, and those are pretty lame.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Yeah. I can't imagine anything less interesting than a live action Fallout. Like, it just feels like it's. I mean, what's the hook? Like, what? Like, is it the tactical gameplay? Like, what do you? Is it the involved
procedural about tactics? Yeah,
right. Like, what do you like? Yeah. Is it? Are they just going to name it like a dog meat and like call that a day? Like,
basically. Anyway. The thing about that TV show that's coming out is it's the Westworld people which I think means that it will have like an interesting premise and then like waste it
And
because
then
that's
not go
Westworld.
anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, because every season of Westworld starts off like the coolest thing you've ever seen and ends like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
That was dumb as hell. And it's a really consistent arc. Like begins really promising.
That makes me very happy that I have not bothered with Westworld after the first season. Like even the interesting premise stuff that I kept hearing about it of like, oh, they're in feudal Japan, and I was like, nope, not gonna do it. Not gonna trick me.
It is cool. It just adds up to nothing because they don't know what they're doing. Unlike Astonishing X-Men, which is also a little like filler issue stuff. I think like it's kind of weird, like looking at Astonishing X-Men. This is so based on just fighting one dude.
Yeah.
You know, that this is basically this whole section of the crossover is like, let's keep Holocaust busy for 4 issues, you know?
And let's get to know Wildcat and Bleak.
Yeah.
So we're going to
Child.
start out, I guess, to keep people up or to keep people around. They know where Holocaust is. So Holocaust has grabbed Sabretooth, who sent Wildchild out to basically
go
ahead.
Yeah, tell the rest of the X-Men where his like plant was.
Yes.
You know,
and he is being chased by a bunch of these Infinites and gets shot from the back. And the text is really like specific here of like, if it was just another inch and a half, it would have severed his spinal column. And I'm like, okay, cool narrator, good info.
Yeah. All right, Jeff Loeb, who did the dialogue in this issue. And like there's a lot more about Wildchild than anybody ever wanted, you know, here in terms of internal monologue about what he is like. You know, Holocaust grabs him, stomps on him, and a lot of this issue is just Holocaust doing villain monologues about stuff. And there's not a lot to his character. Like, this character does not work real well for me as a guy. I understand if you read those prequel comics of this, like we get to see when he was another guy, and he became this weird energy shell thing, and he's got a lot of angst about it, you know. He starts talking about, you know, how he's taking on, you know, he's stepping on him, you know, don't give up. You're going to be trampled under the feet of Holocaust. But then we find out this is a fake Holocaust. We're going to get some real monologues later, don't worry. But this is MORPH, and there's lots of MORPH shtick in this issue.
Man, why is Logan not on this team? Logan would be just loving every moment of this.
Just cut over to Logan watching from a telescreen.
he's just dying, literally slapping knees, man, slapping his fucking knees. I like this.
Smashing his stump on the knee.
I think on the second panel the second page where Holocaust shows up, you see him from behind. And I don't know what the like red energy stuff is supposed to be, like if it's a skeletal framework or being held together or whatever, but like, man, those shoulders, huh? Like those go like if you took the skeleton out of the shell, it would look fucking wild. Like,
yeah, you got shoulders from here to Yaya. You know?
Exactly.
The set of shoulders on that guy. So he holds up Wildchild. He's talking to these Infinites. You know, he's like, oh, you obey my orders. You know, I'm going to kill him, make him a gift to Apocalypse. And then he says, or we can put on a show. He snaps and gains a top hat. So we now know, of course, this is MORPH.
Yep. And then
the Infinites are idiots. They have not been briefed on MORPH.
Do you think that they just didn't tell him? Like, these are the 3 new guys. And they were like, oh, MORPH is going to ruin these dudes.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
There's no time to finish training. You have to go out now. They're just right before they got to the MORPH unit. We only went up through Magneto. And when they know they see this distraction, Sunfire is there floating in the air, tells them surrender. They don't, and they get set on fire.
Yeah. I think this is kind of a cool panel at the very bottom where he it's just like this white hot and he's all in the black behind in the center. Like that looks really, really cool to me. Like the art here is
really
man. Great.
Yeah. Sunfire's Age of Apocalypse design is incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. I really dig it.
You know, so he's basically annoyed at MORPH's horse shit. You know, that's generally the rest of the team.
Yeah, yeah.
What they do, except look at Wildchild. He's like Wolverine Jr. Look at the big smile he's got. On his face.
He's loving this, my man.
He's into it too. If you're half Beast Man, you love MORPH's shit.
Oh yeah, dude, absolutely. Yeah, you got to really play to your audience, right?
Yeah. Yep. Which is sublingual Beast Man. Like, yeah. So Rogue and MORPH show up. They were trying, you know, they've rescued Wildchild. Wildchild is trying to tell Rogue like where Sabretooth is and what happened. And he can't speak. you know, because he's Wild Child. Because Xavier died, because I'm pretty sure this guy can speak in the in
absolutely.
Alpha fight.
Xavier died, and this dude didn't learn how to talk. Like,
yeah, Xavier was busy that week. He taught Wild Child how to speak. So Wild Child knows how Rogue's powers work. So he licks Rogue's face to give
not cool.
Give her the memories. Yeah.
What is this guy? Ubisoft employee? What are you doing?
He's already touching her. Like look at it. Look at his thumb. His thumb is touching her. Yeah, the lick is purely for sport. Like
he's just been waiting to do this for a while.
Yeah, fucking gross, man. Kyle, come on, dude.
Yeah.
So this gives Rogue the memories.
Yeah, so she absorbs this stuff and also starts like growling, and her fingernails get super long through her gloves. Like that looks really cool, I think. And it's time to go find Holocaust, who is still just dragging Sabretooth around by the hair and yelling at him a whole lot. We thought he was dead in the last issue, but he is not. He's awake.
Before we get to that, Morph does tell Wild Child, after we take down Holocaust, we're going to get you a yummy treat.
Nice.
Just like the X-Men treating their subhuman X-Men as subhumans will never not be funny to me. Like, can you imagine like if I offered you a treat?
Hey, at least in this issue, Morph gets to be table boy for a little while. So
he does become a table. Like we do get some table stuff. I feel like Morph should be the one being offered a treat.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's a ranking, and like they're gonna really abuse this ranking system here in a little while.
Morph is barely above Wild Child. Sabretooth's pet X-Man.
I do like, so Holocaust drags Sabretooth over and is like, oh, I'm glad you're alive. I get to kill you again. And Sabretooth tells him to go to Hades. And I'm like, what are we doing here?
It's a big X-Men thing, man. Like that used to happen all the time in Chris Claremont X-Men. Like all kinds of like Callisto and Storm whispering go to Hades at people.
It's fucking wild.
Don't know why. It's like Nintendo of America localized this and they couldn't say hell. So he's showing Nemesis is showing, or Holocaust is showing Sabretooth, the center of Apocalypse's empire, and he's basically starts hinting that he's going to do more than Apocalypse did.
Yes.
Like he's going to create these infinites and actually destroy the world. You know, it's different than what Apocalypse wants, which is like survival of the fittest. Like Holocaust wants a worse version of it.
Yeah. Holocaust is going to make an army of millions of infinites. But he did not skip leg day. Look at that dude.
Yeah,
he's fucking ripped. His cows are just.
He didn't skip shoulder day at all.
No.
He's never skipped shoulder day.
Skipped shoulder day. He goes on more villain speeches of saying like, and you know, Sabretooth is like, hey, I've beat you before, I'll beat you again. I was like, well, no, absolutely, you actually didn't. And this is kind of where we learned that he's not into the survival of the fittest thing. But he's also going to kill Sabretooth. Like, this is just a lot of back and forth about Holocaust, and I don't particularly care about it. Like, there's way more interesting shit happening in this.
Yeah, this is not particularly good. Like, this villain was not set up.
Yeah.
You know, so just having, and also Sabretooth is not somebody I have tons of emotional attachment to. You know, in this. Like, he is our, Age of Apocalypse Sabretooth is our hero Wolverine figure on the team, but like, you know, this whole comic is a lot of, I don't know, somebody I don't care about that much fighting somebody I don't care about that much.
Yep.
We get a flashback as Sabretooth's being beat up to him and Wolverine when they're both on the X-Men, I believe.
Sure.
During a brief time when they overlapped, because Sabretooth used to be on Apocalypse's side. They're evacuating a building that's on fire. Sabretooth smells somebody behind a door, won't leave them behind, even though Wolverine wants to leave, and they find Baby Blink.
Yep. And we cut to the current timeline where, you know, Blink is telling this story to everybody, and they're like, Blink, we fucking know, all right? You've told this a million times. We don't care about this relationship. We all like Sabretooth. He's on our team. Like, stop telling us this. And
the Rogue literally says that. We all know how important Victor is to
Blink. We know. We get it.
Yeah. Also, Blink has a superpower.
Yes.
And that superpower is to teleport people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she can go wherever. However, they've decided to transport themselves by having Morph turn into like a piece of siding for all the X-Men to ride on and for Sunspot to carry.
So the first time I saw this panel, I just assumed that they had stolen like a piece of, like they had
somebody's wall.
Busted out a wall somewhere, and and then you see that like that Sunfire is carrying it, and I'm like, well, how is he not just burning this shit immediately? And then I had the thought of, why don't they always do this? Like, I mean, why does
Yeah.
it always, like, we always see like the flyers carrying the one non-flyer where this obviously is a better system. And then I saw the head on the left-hand corner and I was like, what in the fuck are we doing here? What are we, what is going on?
Well, one reason why they don't always do this is because I don't think Sunfire has super strength. Like, he's basically bench pressing 4 X-Men right now. It's real weird. And also, I don't know why his hands aren't burning Morph, because as far as I know, Morph isn't immune to fire.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, this whole thing is pretty goofy. Again, big Morph highlight issue. He turns into a pirate and turns his hand into a telescope that he then puts his eye at the end of. It's real gross.
I love that, dude. That is so
yeah,
amazing.
it's pretty good, but it's fucking
so great.
Nasty. Yeah. It's just another piece of evidence that like hanging out with Morph would just be fucking disgusting. It'd be funny if you're Wolverine, but it would also be really gross because he'd be putting his eyeball on everything.
This is my second favorite telescope interaction after like the telescope in Demon Souls, which just puts the camera directly behind your back so you can see yourself using the telescope. Like,
yes.
Come on, Blue Point. Don't change that.
Sunfire smacks Morph on the head and says, "I'm sick of your stupid jokes. Do you have any dignity?" And he basically does his Morph thing. Like, if I'm going to die, I want to do it with a smile on my face. This is the exact same interaction he had with Sabretooth, like 2 issues ago. So Sunfire is the new Sabretooth in terms of the Morph dynamic.
I love it. And then Morph starts singing in the rain because it's starting to rain, and they fly off. And then we switch to the Xavier Institute, where Magneto and Bishop are kind of facing off with each other. And Magneto is demanding from Bishop, like, the ability to shoot somebody. Like, if everything goes as planned, they're going to send Bishop back in time to kill Legion, and he's got to be able to do that. But Bishop, of course, is having problems because plot.
Because it goes against what we're fighting for and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know if this rings super true to me. But we basically, like, if this is possible, you're gonna have to kill. And he's basically saying we'd have to give everything up. Look at your son again. And his Magneto's son, I love how his age is so inconsistent in this. Like, sometimes he's a baby, and then and now he looks like fully like 11 years old or something.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. Before they can really,
and also
go ahead.
Magneto doesn't need to be reminded that he's going to lose his son.
Yeah, dude. It feels really weird all the way around, to be honest with you. Magneto being in so many of the issues that we're dealing with this week is really bizarre to me. Like, he's just fucking floating through time, like he's Daenerys Targaryen at this point.
Yeah. There's an intruder though.
Yes.
And Nanny notices this and becomes an egg.
That's
she gets
very fucking cool.
abyss
by the
tentacles.
way. I love that she just straight up turns into an egg with the child inside and like goes into the floor.
Yep.
Super fucking
Yep,
great.
drills into the floor. She's like a Mega Man enemy.
Yeah.
And I love clearly 14-year-old Charles' last words here, "Daddy," as he looks very pubescent in this last frame, as they cannot draw him at a consistent age.
Also, they have different DEFCONs because of course they do. And Magneto's line of "DEFCON Armageddon can only mean one thing: apocalypse is coming." Why didn't you call it DEFCON Apocalypse? Like, if you're just not going to if you're not going to do colors,
why are you doing these code names,
man?
Like, it could just be DEFCON Abyss.
Yeah, DEFCON Holocaust.
Yeah. Fucking A, Magneto. So Apocalypse is on his way.
Or DEFCON Morph. We got to know if he's back in the house.
You have to be careful before you sit out because sniffers are about. He's just going to turn into every couch that you try to sit on. So Holocaust is over there surveying his new army of Infinites. Talking about them rushing across the globe, destroying everything. Apocalypse has never even dreamed of this. I'm going to make Daddy proud. He says survival of the fittest. I'm saying nobody is fit enough.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to make things so horrible that nobody survives, basically ending the world here. We get the further adventures. Say what?
Elsewhere in the plant.
Yeah, we get the further adventures of the Infinites who haven't been briefed on Morph.
This is the most ridiculous way to sneak into a super high security building, which is have your shapeshifter pal turn into a giant whale and then put you in his mouth and beach himself onto the side of this thing, and then all of these infinites are like, how did a whale get here? Like it's a video from the internet.
The dialogue is great. Dude. We've got an intruder on scan, and it's a real big one. Come on, man,
dude. I also love this the way that they have drawn the whale eye in both panels is just hysterical to me, because the first one is literally like the I'm not looking at anything, I'm above you kind of thing, and then the second one is got your ass, and I was like, it's so fucking good.
It becomes Uncle Whale. Exactly. The second one looks like an uncle explaining the birds and the bees to a nephew, very much like an uncle found your porn stash and is just like. It's like I had an uncle once who told me about growing wild pot.
Okay.
And was telling me about his stash. And I was a naive little kid, and he was like, it's real good too. And because I was a little kid, I didn't think that my uncle smoked pot. And I was brainwashed by Dare. So I was like, how do you know?
Oh, Gary. Poor innocent
I know,
Gary.
man. I was really innocent, man. Like you never take a kid and make him grow up around a lot of drugs, because you get a bunch of embarrassing stories about not knowing what drugs are. I've told this story before about finding my dad's Coke mirror and just being like, why is my dad looking at himself in bed? So I did not understand drugs as a kid.
Man.
But then my uncle was like, but I smoked it. And I was like, oh.
My uncle was is a super religious dude who was very into Zelda 2. That's the thing. Yeah.
So he makes the, I just swam in from Poughkeepsie. My fins are tired. Like MORPH is basically Robin Williams.
Yeah.
And then it opens his mouth and a bunch of X-Men come out, which is a very great frame. In this, he belches a bunch of X-Men.
Then he turns into an octopus and starts banging people around.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just all over the place.
Selling me on MORPH. I don't. This issue is doing a lot of MORPH work.
Really putting in the MORPH work. They take care of these people, and then he turns into a wall for them to look.
I love that.
He turns into a corner.
He turns into cover. And the infinites are like, that wall wasn't there before, but it's a wall, I guess. Yeah.
Oh shit. Blink sees Victor and just immediately teleports off. And then she is elsewhere that the X-Men, or that these guys, the X-Men can also see, but in front of Sabretooth, who I guess they're supposed to they're telling us that maybe he's dead because he's all chained up on this pole, but there's definitely no way that he's dead. He just survived the last issue, so I don't think this one is a concern. So.
No. The cliffhanger is just Blink sees him and he's really beat up.
Yeah.
So the next issue is going to be this part of the X-Men fighting Holocaust, probably, and then that's going to be this story.
Yep.
And that's the end of this issue.
And I'm with you. This is this feels like, compared to some of the other arcs that we're dealing with, it feels very low stakes. Just to be dealing with one of these dudes. But I guess
we're just disconnected.
Yeah.
But
I guess somebody just really wanted to outline their stand-up routine with MORPH. What if Robin Williams was an actual shapeshifter? Someone saw Aladdin and was like, I've got an idea.
Yeah. It's selling us on MORPH. It's also selling us on Holocaust too. People were way into, and they eventually, he made his way into the regular Marvel universe. So they had to do this setup stuff for Holocaust eventually, even though I think he went away pretty quick. So, yeah. And that's the end of this episode.
Yeah.
End of this issue.
We're done.
We're done. We'll be back in a couple days with more. If you enjoy this podcast, please go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv.
Mm-hmm. It's a cool place to be. You could also leave a review. That'd be pretty awesome.
That'd be awesome.
We appreciate those. We read them. I try to respond to them if somebody emails us. And sometimes people do that, and that's really nice. So thank you, everybody who has done it.
Yeah, we really do appreciate that. And thanks.
Yeah. Bye, everybody. Get your MORPH on.
Get your MORPH on. Start saying get your MORPH on whenever I read a Laffy Taffy joke at a wedding or something.
Yeah. You do a lot of Laffy Taffy work at weddings? Is that a
oh yeah?
Is that a thing?
I'm a lot of people's Laffy Taffy guy.
For
weddings.
You got to have the guy.
Yeah.
I've been to so few weddings in my entire life that it's like every time I hear a story about like, oh, I had to do this at a wedding, it could be true. I have no idea. I've heard so many people say so many ridiculous things that I don't know what's true about weddings anymore.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if there are actually how many. It's been a long time since I've been married or gone to a wedding, and who even knows what they'll be like now in COVID times.
I just assume that it's all like Jim and Pam's wedding, from like people doing dances and cutting off ties and the whole thing. So
yeah, like a little too quirky.
Yeah,
everything got Zooey Dashnelled.
Exactly. Yeah, too many people with hard rimmed glasses. I don't like it.
It's
How dare you celebrate your love when you're dressed in this way?
Sell me an artisanal soap.
Bye, everybody. We're going to end this.
Bye.